starting
Okay.
out, do anything and you will get better,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
You don't have to like overthink it too much. But
Being
for
able to love yourself and, validate who you are without any form of expression of it. And that's why I feel like that's what true confidence is in my head. Because
It gives us a journey of self-discovery through our art. Yours might be music or film or writing.
Always been my outlook on everything in regards to life. If I see anybody who has anything, my default is if they can have it or if they can do it, so can I.
We get to
Yes.
speak. We get to do a podcast. We get to work out. We get to. It's a privilege that people often complain and take for granted.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Insightful Podcast. We gain insight in order to move forward in life. Today is episode 52, and it's season 3, and I'm joined by one of my friends, Natalia. Natalia, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Good, no complaints. You
Good.
excited to be here or what?
So excited. I'm so honored. I always wanted you to ask me to be on one, and when you texted me, I was like,
Yeah, finally making it happen. For sure.
very
All right, so Natalia, I'm going to ask the first question. If you could just
Amazing.
introduce yourself to the audience and kind of explain who you are and what you do.
For sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Natalia. I just graduated recently from McMaster University with a political science degree, which I'm sure we'll touch on a little bit later in the pod. Right now, I work for TD in the legal department. I actually just recently started that new role. Prior to that, I was working in the branch on the front line, helping clients and doing their day-to-day banking and stuff. I've been doing that I've been with TD for a little over 2 years. Prior to that, I worked at the good old Superstore. I went to high school with Anthony. We also worked at Superstore together. I love the gym. I'm at the gym like every single day, almost. That's like the gist of me. I mean, I don't know. Anything else you want to know about me before you ask me some questions?
No, we could just get into it, I guess. So
Amazing.
I guess start with walking me through why you picked the degree you picked and I guess just a detailed explanation of your university journey.
For sure. So in high school, well, actually, I'm going to start with grade 7 because that's actually where this all started. My grade 7 teacher, I'll never forget this, and I tell everybody this story when they ask me why I wanted to pursue the profession that I want to pursue. In grade 7, my grade 7 teacher was like, "Okay, guys, let's brainstorm some future career ideas, job ideas." And as a grade 7, you're like what, 12? I think like 12, 13-ish, 12.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of 12-year-olds don't really know what they want to do with their life. I was the 12-year-old who did. I absolutely knew that I wanted a career in the legal field somewhat. It kind of bounced from maybe going into policing, and then I was like, kind of dangerous, maybe not. And then I was like, I really want to work in the legal field, with the law, doing something. I didn't exactly know what at that point, but I knew that I wanted to be in that field. It was kind of just something that always resonated with me since that time. Even at such a young age, I just felt it. And even now as an adult, when I have those types of feelings, it's the same way that I felt back when I was 12 years old. I was like, this is for me for sure. So it started there, and then obviously graduated from elementary school, went to high school, and the plan was always lawyer, lawyer, lawyer. I want to go to law school. That was always the plan. And then I guess when we're picking our courses and stuff in in high school, I always made sure to choose the university courses so that I could be eligible, obviously, to apply to university. The plan was always, I always wanted to go downtown U of T, St. George campus. I was like, okay, U of T undergrad, U of T law school. That was always the plan. And then in grade 11, I think, in a little bit of grade 12 before university applications were due, I would be talking to some people. Even at Superstore, we had some people who were in university already that I was talking to and stuff. And they were like, Natalia, like U of T is just like, I don't know if you're gonna like it that much. Like, I think you should explore other options. And I was very set. I was like, no, like, what do you mean? Like, I want to go to U of T. Like, that's where I want to go. And I'm quite stubborn when it comes to things like that. I'm like, you can't really talk me out of stuff. But I was like, you know what? Fine. Like, I'll explore other options, whatever. And so I was lucky enough that right before, because I graduated high school in 2020, so we didn't have like prom grad, like whatever, everything was cut off because of COVID. But I was lucky enough that I had visited McMaster in the fall prior, so in the fall of 2019, right before everything closed down and everything. And I remember going onto campus and absolutely falling in love. I was like, wow, like this is where I can see myself like next year 100%. And this was obviously again before COVID and before everything, whatever. But I remember getting that same feeling that I had like in grade 7 and that I've had since then about places and about things and experiences. And I was like, this is where I'm going to be. Like, this is where I want to go. And so from then on, I settled on McMaster. I was like, okay, like I'll go to McMaster for my undergrad. Like, I really like it here. The original plan was I was going to commute first year because it's not that far. Hamilton's not that far from us. I ended up commuting like all 4 years anyway. But yeah, so first year the original plan was, okay, first year I'll commute, and then like second, third, and fourth year, like I'll find a student house in Hamilton, I'll live up there, whatever. Obviously COVID changed all those plans. I ended up before I even get into actually going to Mac, I ended up applying to Mac. I applied to some other universities as well, but Mac was always like what I wanted. But I remember when we were applying for university, I was like, oh my god, like what if I don't get in? Why I even thought that, I don't know, but I was like, what if I don't get in, whatever. So like at the last minute, right before university applications were due, I had applied to a few more schools, because I think originally I applied at um, Queens, and U of T St. George. I was like, those are my 3 options. And I was like, what if no one takes me? I was like, what if I don't get in anywhere? So I applied to a few more schools just in case. I think I don't remember. I think it was like York and Ryerson at the time. I applied to. I got into Ryerson literally the week later. So why I thought I wasn't going to get accepted anywhere, I have no idea. But we get into our own heads sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, even back when I had gone to that fall open house at Mac, they had a lot of like cool social science programs. And I remember originally I had wanted to go into the same program that Marin had gone into, the Justice, Political Philosophy, and Law, because I was like, it's literally a pre-law program. And that was the original plan. I was like, I'll just go into general, like first year social sciences, and then I'll switch into humanities and whatever, I'll do that. I hated philosophy in first year. So obviously I got accepted into Mac, whatever, I went. We were online because of everything. But I remember taking the philosophy courses and I was like, this is not for me. I was like, I hate this. I was like, if this is what 4 years of the Justice, Political Philosophy, and Law program is, I don't want it. Like, I do not want it. And then I was like, okay, like political science, like I really enjoyed my political science courses. And then I had found out about like a specialization program, which I ended up going into, which was basically like the social science, like pre-law version of the humanities pre-law version, which was the Justice, Political Philosophy, and Law program. And then I ended up applying for that program, like, because in first year we do a general first year, and then in first year towards the end of the school year we like apply essentially, or like apply to declare our major sort of thing. It's different for all universities, so that's just how Mac did it. Like, you had to kind of apply, and if you were eligible you would get accepted into like your first choice. If not, you'd get into like your second choice. This was like 4 years ago now, so it's kind of all blurry. But
For sure.
yeah, I ended up applying to that specialization program, which was like a political science degree, but specializing in public law and judicial studies. I was like, that sounds good enough to me, like pre-law, whatever, pre-law focused. So yeah, first about year and a half was fully online. Like, I didn't go to campus at all. I liked it personally, because I could work a lot. I worked a lot throughout undergrad, all of undergrad. I worked, obviously. And then second year hit, first semester was online. Second semester, I had a few classes in person. I liked it, but like, I didn't really have any friends on campus because I wasn't really a part of any clubs yet. Like, I hadn't really done anything, so I didn't really know anybody, and I was always just like alone on campus. I was like, oh, this sucks. Like, I just wish I could be like at home just doing my work all by myself. But then third year came along, and I think almost all my courses were in person. I had applied to join 2 clubs. So I was on 2 clubs at Mac in no, 3, sorry. 3 clubs. So mock trial, the Women in Pre-Law Society, and then like the General McMaster Pre-Law Society. I had applied to join those. I got in, I had those 3 positions lined up. I made so many friends through that throughout third year. And then in fourth year, I ended up sticking with those clubs as well in new positions. But I did that, and then I was like, wow, I like really regret ever saying that I wanted school to be online, because in person it was wonderful. I really did enjoy it. I made so many friends. I literally saw one of my best friends that I made in university yesterday. Like, we hung out yesterday, had Thanksgiving dinner at her house, so that was really nice. But when people say that you make your best friends in university, like, they're right. I'm just really glad that I kind of stepped out of my comfort zone and joined some clubs. Oh my God, there's literally a dog barking outside. Anyway, sorry.
It's okay.
I don't know if
The
you can
studio
hear it.
get rid of the background noise. It's okay.
Okay, perfect. I was like, there's a dog barking. But yeah, so in third and fourth year were significantly better than first and second year. And then obviously fourth year was awesome. And we were in fourth year and we were doing all our cool little things, and I was like, I could use another year of this. Like, this would be so nice. But in fourth year was also when I decided that I was not going to go to law school right away, that I was going to take some time away from school before applying to law school, because I still wanted to go, and I still do want to go. But I was like, I really want like some work experience. I really like working. Like, I like to just like work and like dabble in my own little hobbies outside of that without having to worry about school. And I got a little bit of a taste of that after graduating this past May, just working and being able to go to the gym every single day, being able to hang out with my friends without having to worry that, I have to go home and do schoolwork, whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much like my whole undergrad experience kind of thing. And then here I am now, just secured a full-time job, which is nice. So I'm excited for that. I'm gonna do that for a few years and then apply to law school and go to law school.
For sure. So during that whole period, Natalia, like going through your undergrad, was there any moments where you kind of like doubted yourself if you wanted to pursue like law? Were there any moments where you kind of like, oh, maybe I would like to do something else? Or
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Law was always on the forefront. It was always like, yeah, I will go to law school. Like, that was always on the forefront of my mind. But then doing what I was doing with all my clubs. So for instance, I started a podcast with one of my clubs in fourth year that I enjoyed so much. And then a mix of that and like when we were planning our events, and like even with a few of my other clubs, like planning the events, putting them together, like like getting that going, I was like, what's a kind of job that I can do that incorporates all of these things? I was like, event planning, no. I was like, project managing, no. I was like, I kind of was like, if I decided not to go to law school and not pursue a career in law, I would probably want to try and figure out a way that I could do kind of what I was doing in all my clubs and all my extracurricular activities and make that into a career, because I really did enjoy that. Like, I like the whole idea of like working as a team, putting things together, like the outcome, doing things for other people, and like giving other people access to things that they wouldn't have otherwise. Like, I'm really passionate about stuff like that. So that made me doubt it. That made me doubt whether or not I actually wanted to go to law school for sure and be a lawyer, because I was like, wow, like I
Mm-hmm.
really enjoy doing this stuff. And obviously, as many people are aware, like law school is very expensive. Like, it's a huge financial commitment and a huge like lifelong commitment, really. So it was more so in like a positive sense that I was
Yeah.
like, maybe there's something else out there for me. But at the end of the day, like, it really, law and like law school is always still on the forefront. But I'm very, very open to other opportunities as well and other things that might come my way. I'm not, again, like, I'm gonna go back to the whole like feeling thing that I get. Like, if something feels good and if it feels right in the moment, I very much like am okay with it and have learned to accept things like as they come and not be so like stubborn about like this whole timeline kind of thing. Because that I feel like if I did stick to my timeline, like I wouldn't be where I am right now, and I'm so happy with where I am right now. So
For sure. And how do you, I guess, differentiate that feeling of maybe wanting to pursue something else, or this thing's like calling to you, and something that's maybe just like a temporary feeling that maybe in this current moment you don't like law and you're just like thinking, oh, what could I possibly do? Like, how do you differentiate that feeling?
I honestly don't think that I could say that I've had the feeling that I would like not want to pursue law school anymore and not pursue a career in law. Like I've had the feeling that I would might want to pursue other things, but like I've always still been like, but like I'll still go to law school. Like
Hmm.
unless again, like I said, unless like some incredible other opportunity like came my way. Like even with the job that I just got, like I originally my plan was like, okay, like I'll take 1 year off and then I'll go to law school. But now that I've secured like a full-time job, I'm like, I can do this for a couple years and then go to law school. And I'm like, we're so young. Like, I have my whole life ahead of me. My mom even said to me, she's like, Natalia, school will always be there. And I was like, that feels so comforting coming from you because not that I ever like went to school or did anything like to make sure my parents were happy because they always were very supportive of like whatever I want to do, like I can do. But it was really nice to hear from both my parents that like this is a good thing, like enjoy this, and school will always be there. So I guess it's more so right now the like feelings I get when it comes to different opportunities and different like things to do that might not be related to law, they're all in some way they are. Like even the job that I'm
Hmm.
doing right now, like I will be gaining experience like in the legal field, and it's in like banking, which is what I did for 2 years, and I did enjoy it. But yeah, I can't really say that I've had like the feeling of like not like for sure 100% not wanting to go to law school anymore. It might come and I won't be like opposed to it. Again, like
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like no, 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 like you've worked so hard, like you've come this far. Honestly, like I'm very open now. Now I'm very open to like whatever comes my way, and if I feel good about it, I'll go that way, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess my next question would be like what changed to kind of like give you this mindset of go with the flow? Because you just mentioned there that you weren't always like that. So when did that change for you?
In high school, I was very, very, I don't want to say stubborn, but I still think I'm a very type A. Like I like things done a certain way. Like I'm very particular about, my routine and whatever. In high school it was really bad. I would like cry over things sometimes because I'd get really overwhelmed. I didn't know how to deal with my feelings. So like that's what I would do. And then I remember in university I had a really tough time for a few months. I had really bad like imposter syndrome because we would be in these online classes and like I would always be too shy to speak up, ironically, like that coming from me as a very outgoing individual. Like we were in an online environment where other people were like raising their hands on Zoom and like talking and like sounding so smart. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I don't belong here. I was like, I can't, like, this is not like, I don't belong here. Like, I don't know what the heck these people are saying. Like, I could not get the nerve to raise up my hand in Zoom and talk, whatever. Um, and that like really affected me for a few months. And then I was like, I don't remember what it was, but it was kind of like a switch. It was like a switch where it's like,
Yeah.
Natalia, like you've been so hard on yourself for so long. I still am, not as badly though. But I was like, Natalia, you've been so hard on yourself for so long. Like just chill, like chill. And it was, I think in first year, towards the end of first year, where I was like, Natalia, like every single time that you have had like a tough time in life, every single time that like things have, maybe you feel like they've been going wrong or they haven't been going as well as you thought they would have, it always ends up okay. And that was the biggest thing for me, was reminding myself that no matter what's going on, at the end, like everything's fine. And that sort of mindset switch, like I've taken with me till like now. So I was what I would have been like 18 at the time, 18, 19 at the time. So here I am like 4 years later. I still feel that way. And it's like no matter how tough things are, no matter how anxious I am about certain things, like time and time again, I've been proven that everything's going to be okay anyways. So that's kind of what I think that's kind of what did it for me if I have to like think about it. Um it was definitely that period in first year where I was like, I don't know if I belong here. I was like, just chill. Like everything's gonna be all right. Um and yeah, like I've just taken that with me till now, and I still try and remind myself of that anytime anything, it's kind of
Yeah,
crap. I'm like, it's gonna be fine. Like you're gonna be fine. And I try to tell that to everyone else too. I'm like, shit's shit right now, but you're gonna be fine. Yeah.
exactly. Here's a question I want to ask you because I feel that maybe me and you like relate in that way. Is do you believe that if you weren't like as hard as you are on yourself, you would be in the position you are today? Because I feel like it's like a double-edged sword. Like I know if I wasn't as hard on myself as I am today, I wouldn't be like pursuing the things I want. But also it's like you're saying sometimes it could be too much where you end up kind of hating yourself and you don't
Yeah,
even realize it.
100%. I always tell people when I like anytime I like talk about things like this with others, I my Alexa just turned on. Anytime I talk to people about stuff like this, I explain to them I'm like, as much as I like was so stubborn in high school, as much as I cared about my grades a lot. I was very, very like A's, like 90s, like honor roll. Like I was like I had to have it. I was always like that. I always pushed myself. I mentioned earlier, like my parents never pressured me like in any way, shape, or form. Like they were never like, you need to get good grades, you need to do this, because I know some people's parents do that. My parents never did. It was always me. It always came from me inside. Like I just wanted to be the best of the best, like you could say. Like I just wanted that for myself. um had I not been like that in high school, had I been more like whatever, like not that that's how I am now, but had I not gone through that the 4 years of high school, and had I not gone through like my little spurt of like, oh my gosh, in like first year, I would not be where I am today. Because the thing about me is, because I am quite hard on myself, that also in turn means that like I'm always pushing myself to be better and to do better. Like I'm never going to be satisfied, obviously, but that's just how we are. As
Yeah.
individuals, like we might be in a really great place in life, but we know that there's better, and we know that better is coming. um
Hmm.
and that's kind of like how I am now. It's like I'm very happy with where I am, but I know that there's going to be even better things coming in the future, and that gives me that like push to keep doing what I'm doing, but doing it better every single day, essentially.
For sure. All right. So my next question is, I want you to walk me through, because maybe someone that's listening right now, they could be going into university or they finish their first year and they realize how difficult it is to balance all the things they have in their life, like relationships, maybe fitness, maybe learning other things outside of university. Like from the beginning, since I've known you, like I've always known you as a person that is, like you're saying, like very hard worker, is constantly doing something. There's always something going on, right? So how were you able to like balance the gym, balance university, balance going to work? I remember there was a point in time where you had two jobs, and you were still, going to university, learning every single day. So to someone that's listening and they're like, I want to do all those things as well, but I find it a very big struggle to balance those things. What advice would you give to them?
Well, first of all, admit to yourself that yeah, it is hard. Like it's so hard. I'm not gonna lie. You mentioned my whole two job thing. I'm not gonna lie, that 8 months, it's a blur. I don't remember a lot of it, because I literally was every single day it was something. I was either at work, or I was at school, or I was at school and then at work. Working almost 60 hours a week while in university, I would not recommend to anybody. I know that some people, unfortunately, like I was, are sometimes in positions where they kind of have no choice but to do that, and I unfortunately didn't have a choice. Um, but I knew it was only temporary. Like I knew that period of my life was only temporary, and eventually, like it would be fine. It would be better. Um, I'm a huge planner. Like this is gonna sound so cliche, but planning my days, and like I put almost everything into my calendar. Like I prioritize, I make my list. Don't get me wrong, I still procrastinate every now and then, but the biggest thing, or the biggest like piece of advice, like I could give somebody who like wants to do all those things, like if you do truly want to do everything, if you want to succeed in university, and you want to make time for the gym, and you want to still have a social life, if you want it bad enough, you are going to do it. And that's how it was with me. It's like, even in fourth year of university, I was so busy. Like, I was going to the gym almost every single day. I was in 3 clubs. I was doing school, like, and I'm still doing very well in school, mind you. Like, I graduated with high honors. Like, I managed to do everything because I wanted to. So
Yeah.
it sounds so broad and so like, but if you really want to do all those things, like, you'll figure out a way to do it. But there are little things such as like planning and like time blocking and prioritizing things that will help. But at the end of the day, you gotta want it deep down. Like, you gotta, if you want to do well in school, you have to want to do well in school, and you have to do the things that will get you there. And if you want to go to the gym 5, 6 days a week, you have to want to do it deep down. You can't like force yourself to do it. And my biggest thing too, because I remember people would always ask me, just like you did, how'd you do it? Discipline. Like, no, none of this, like, I'm not motivated, I don't want to. Just do it. Just go do it. Like, if you have the discipline to, do well in school, or if you have the discipline to go to the gym almost every single day, it's going to translate into all the other parts in your life. And that's the thing, that's the biggest thing for me, especially with the gym. Like, the gym has made me so much more disciplined in every other um, aspect of my life. So the best thing I could say, and probably what I did mostly for myself, is I just wanted it. Like, I really deep down wanted it. I wanted to do all these things. So I made sure that I did all these things. And it was just like there was no other option, essentially.
Yeah, I think that's how it usually goes, right? Because people will say like the difference between like winners and losers is that like winners will find any way to make it happen, and then losers will make any excuse to not make it happen, right?
Yeah.
So it's exactly like you're saying, if you have to wake up earlier, go to bed later, I'm assuming during that time period you weren't getting a lot of sleep because like there's no way you could have been, right? So I think that's a big part of it. Like I had someone on the podcast earlier this week, and he still works a full-time job, like while coaching online clients, and he's doing social media, all these things. And he was telling me he sleeps like 3 hours a night. But like,
Yeah,
he understands, like you said, during that time period of your life, it's not going to last forever. And if you
exactly.
could see it that way, you could
Yeah.
get through it.
Exactly. Yeah, just remembering that it's like the pain is only temporary, like, sort of cliche thing, but it is hard. Like, doing big things and wanting to do huge good things and succeed in life, it's not easy. It's not supposed to be, right? And we hear that all the time, like even the videos on TikTok and like on Instagram and stuff. Doing good things and big things, like, it's never going to be easy, and you just have to accept that. But also making sure that you like give yourself some grace when you do go through tougher periods. Like, it's really easy for us to constantly be go go go, like, you have to do this, you have to do this. But like, it's okay if you have an off day or you have an off week. Even like, it happens with me all the time. Like, I'll have a day where I was like, oh, I'm gonna get up early today, I'm gonna do all this, and then I end up sleeping into like 10, 10:30, and I'm like, I used to feel guilty about it. Now I don't, because it's like, clearly you needed that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly like agree because especially if there's so many days consecutively that you're like pushing yourself, you're gonna need those days sometimes to just, maybe get some extra sleep,
Yep.
maybe that one task that you had on your list, not do it, and
Yep.
take some time to yourself because at the end of the day, this is like a long journey. It's not like a
Exactly.
sprint, as like cliche
Exactly.
as that sounds as well, but
Yeah.
you need to give yourself some time and like you said, some grace, not hate
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been like learning and actively trying to do, especially in the last few months, just to give myself some grace, like, and in turn, because I've been practicing that with myself, I've also been able to like practice it in like my relationships and in my friendships. And when you're good to yourself, you're good to your friends and you're good to others, right? So that's kind of, it's like a full circle moment kind of thing, you know? Yeah.
Exactly. 100%. So I guess my next question, it kind of relates to like you speaking about you scheduling, you planning, is how do you go about like goal setting and actually executing those goals by like a certain deadline? Maybe someone has like a paper due by the end of the week. If that was you, how do you set that goal to complete it? And like, how do you go about executing it? Are you the type of person that will do all the work one day and then hand it in, or are you doing like little bits every single day? And this could extrapolate to every area of your life, like
Yeah.
the gym, work, whatever.
The first like example that I could probably use is school. Because in like my regular life, like yeah, sure, I have like my goals, but I have more like big goals that I'm like working little by little to achieve. But with school, small goals are quite common. So like you mentioned, with if I had a paper due at the end of the week, I'm not gonna lie, I want to save half of the time. Like I would procrastinate it a little bit, but also with me, sometimes I wouldn't have that option because I knew that okay, I had work this day, and I'm not going to be able to work on it these days, so I need to work on it earlier in the week. So if it was due on a Friday night, for instance, which is evil, if anyone ever makes anything due on a Friday night, that's actually evil. Um, but no, like evil Friday night. The worst actually was Sunday night. So evil. But
Was that a
Friday
common
night,
thing though?
it
Because
was a
I heard
common
many
thing.
people say that.
Yeah, it's a very, very common thing. The Sunday nights especially, or the Mondays. Like I feel like middle of the week makes the most sense. But like if it was like a Monday, it's like you knew you'd be working all weekend on it, and if it's a Friday, it's like it would take up your whole like it was just but I guess you can never win. When something's due, something's due, like whatever. But for me, for instance, if something was due on a Friday and say I was working Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but like Monday, Tuesday, like I had class and then I had some like free time in between classes and stuff. Like any free time that I would get, unless like I had something else specific to do, like I would probably work on that paper. But I would also be looking at because in university, most universities and most professors, they give you your deadlines at the beginning of the semester already. Like they tell you when everything is due, you know exactly when you're going to have to submit everything. So procrastinating should not be very common, but obviously it is because we are human. Um, and I too would procrastinate all the time and leave things to the last minute because then I have a little bit of more pressure to do it. And I was like, oh, I gotta get it done. I gotta get it done. But you have your deadlines and everything at the beginning of the school year already. So what I would do at the beginning of the school year, which in turn would help and support me throughout the semester, was I would have like a master assignment list. So I knew like, and that tab was always saved like on my browser. Like I could click onto it right away. It was like a master list, class, assignment, due date. I had like a how much it was worth of my grade, and then I also had like a completion tracker and a grade tracker. So that would also help me track my grades and kind of see where I'm at as the semester goes on. That was super duper helpful. Like it's such an easy thing to do at the beginning of the semester. It takes a little while because you have to go through all of your syllabi and you have to, input everything. I'm sure there's a way to do it like easier, but I did it manually because then it also like helped me remember it and kind of settled it into my head too. But you know exactly when you have everything due. So just referring to that is really helpful. And like, even depending on what anyone does for work, like for me, well, when we were at Superstore, we had our schedules about 2 weeks out in advance. With the bank, like our schedule was out like almost a month in advance. And two, during the school year, I had a set availability. So I knew what days I would be working and I knew what days I would not be working because I had class. And even when
Exactly.
even when I was making my timetable for class, for my classes, it was different for me because I was a commuter. So I tried to combine everything on like the same days as much as possible. So like it would be ideal if I only had to be on campus 2 days a week or 3 days a week. I think I averaged about 3 days a week on campus, and then or like 2.5 days kind of. But like my schedule was pretty set in stone. Like I knew exactly when I would have free time. So I knew that I had to use that free time to work on that paper. And again, like I would have known about that paper since the beginning of the semester. So it's like, it just, the time, like maybe not even time blocking, because I tried time blocking for a little bit and I don't know if I like being so like set, even though work and classes like that was a form of time blocking. And you could absolutely like put that with like your personal stuff too, but I felt like too restricted. At one point I was like putting everything into my calendar and I was like, I can't, like this is too much. Like you'd look at my calendar and it would be like, Natalia, like you have like your breakfast in your calendar, and I was like, yeah, like it's a little much. So I'm not that strict anymore, but I mean like it did work. I had to like switch around some things sometimes and stuff, but using your calendar to like plan things and like important things, and looking at, say, like your week. I'd always look at my week at a glance, like on a Sunday night I would look at everything and be like, okay, like this is what I have to do, this is what I have to do, like this is when I can do it. And like I'd kind of stick to that throughout the week. Obviously things would come up, but I mean, you like I said, like about these things like way far in advance, so just try your absolute hardest not to procrastinate and just like get it done.
For sure. And I think the problem too is people want like a specific answer to like productivity, how to be more productive. But it's like you're saying, I'm in the same way as like you used to be. Like I have my breakfast blocked out. I have wake up time, night routine, go to bed at this time. And when I do follow that, that's when I'm my most productive. That's when I get the most work done. And if I don't have these things written down, I'm like, procrastinating a lot. So
Yeah,
I find that that's what works for me. But it's like you're saying, I don't think there's any specific answer. You kind of need to test it out and
yeah,
see
for
what
sure.
works for you and then just go off of that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about trial and error. Not everybody's going to be the same. Like you block off your breakfast. I used to do that, but I was like, now if I do that, like that's going to make me go crazy. Especially because like now my life's different. When I was in school, like it's a lot different. But now just if I'm just working and just having to go to the gym and just kind of maintaining a little bit of a social life, that's really all I got to do like at the moment. It
Mm-hmm.
is a lot easier. It's a lot more difficult in school when you know that you constantly have like those the anxiety over like those assignment deadlines, the test deadlines, like that's always looming over your head. So when you don't have that, it is a little bit different. But yeah, it's just trial and error. Like not what works for me isn't going to work for you, and vice versa. And like what works for us isn't going to work for everybody. So you just kind of got to try out and see what works.
Exactly, 100%. So my next question, Natalia, for you is do you still struggle with self-doubt today, and how do you overcome those moments when you are doubting yourself?
I went through this throughout my interview process for the job that I got. Um, I wanted it really, really bad. Like I remember when I had applied, as you know, it was back in July. Back in July, I had applied and I just started this month. It was a pretty lengthy process, and the whole time, I remember when I had applied, it was like 3 weeks until I had heard anything, and I was like, I didn't get it. I was like, whatever, like it's fine, like I'll just apply to the next one, like whatever. But um, I doubted myself a lot throughout the process because I was like, maybe I'm just like not qualified enough, maybe I'm not good enough for it. But see, every single time like that would happen, I would be like, Natalia, like whatever is meant to be will be. It's fine. Like don't stress yourself out so much about it. Obviously easier said than done, but like the more you kind of push yourself to think that way, the more likely you are to think that way. Um, but the thing for me with the whole self-doubt thing, in using this example, like the hiring process for this new role that I have as an example, it was like when I would tell some of my friends about it, and then when I got the position and I told them all about it, they were like, "Nah, like we knew that was gonna happen." And I was like, "You guys believed in me more than I believed in myself," because like I did
Yeah.
believe in it. Like I did was like, "Yeah, like this is perfect. Like this is exactly what I want." I'm like, but the self doubt for me came from like an area where like I was like, maybe there's someone out there that's better than me. And maybe there's someone out there who knows more than I do, and maybe has a more outgoing and fun personality than I do. And like there always is going to be people that are better than you. It's life. I mean, we're not always like you can't always be the best of the best. You can be the best version of yourself for yourself. And I think that's what I just strive to do as much as possible. But yeah, like it was that kind of awakening moment for me when everyone was like, we knew you had it. And I was like, I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't know. Like how did you guys know? And obviously like as your friends, like people are gonna say that to you, but what it's nice hearing that, especially when you hear it from almost all of them, and it's like, nah, like we knew that was gonna happen, like we knew you had it. And I'm like, no, like it's nice to hear, and that kind of does dissipate some of that self-doubt, especially when you surround yourself with so many people who do really believe in you. And I feel like that's something that's really, really important. I mean, I know at the end of the day, like all you've got is yourself, and you got to make sure, like deep down, you feel good about yourself. But I've accumulated such an amazing support network over the last few years, and I am just like, that's definitely like, they've skyrocketed my confidence. Like, they make me believe in myself more than I believe in myself sometimes, and it's like having that is super duper important. But yeah, self-doubt's an everyday thing. Like, you're always gonna, want to be better. You're always gonna, doubt yourself when it comes especially to trying out new things. But it, I kind of just take it back to the whole, like, whatever's meant to be will be, and like, just don't worry about it so much. Just let the universe do whatever is meant for you, and like, everything's gonna be fine.
Exactly, right? Because the only thing with like self-doubt and why like your friends could see past it or the people around you is because they're not like living in your head, right? When you're like going to bed at night, you're coming up with these very like irrational thoughts, and
Yeah,
then those things consume you and you start to
yeah,
believe them. But it's like you're saying, if you have a support group around you, they could put stuff into your mind that could combat that self-doubt, right? Because it's very difficult within yourself sometimes to
yeah,
get over that. But it's like you're saying, I think
100%.
that's the best mentality to have. Like, if it's the universe, if it's God, if it's, whatever you believe in,
Yeah,
whatever happens, it's all, it's all meant to be if it's meant to
yeah.
be. If not, it's not, right?
It's honestly like the greatest mindset that I've ever like had for myself, is just reminding myself that like what's meant for me will come, and you can work towards things, and you can have goals, and you can want to do things, but you also have to put some trust in like what's meant for you will come for you. And as you said, like, whether it's God, whether it's the universe, I call her Miss Universe. Like, that's my little thing. It's silly, but that's kind of how I refer to my life in a way. But yeah, it's like you just have to put trust in things like outside of you, because there's only so much that you can control, right?
Yeah, and I think that's like a big mindset shift I've had this year as well, is like even with the podcast, my own personal Instagram, like that's grown pretty well over the past couple months. And what it's taught me is like I can only ever focus on the input. Like I can only focus on posting videos, filming podcasts,
Yeah,
finding new guests. That's all I can really do. Like, how they perform is out of my hands, right? So
exactly.
if you're able to just focus on what you can control, let's say if someone's looking for a job, how many interviews are you getting, how many jobs are you applying to, like that's all you can control. If you're getting callbacks or if they're not hiring you, that's out of your hands, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, 100%. Like, there's only so much we can control. And I mean, if you try to have like too much control over things, like, you're going to drive yourself nuts, because there's like, when it comes even to something like when you're applying to jobs, and you want to get hired and you really want a new job, you all you can do is bring who you are to the table, and that's it. Like, nothing
Yeah,
else you have control over. It's whether or not they, number one, like you, they think you're a good candidate for the role, and if you have the skills and the experience to take on that role. Like, that decision, you might feel like you have all those three things, but at the end of the day, you don't have control over whether or not they hire you. So you just kind of got to leave it up to whatever, and just be like, if I'm meant to have this job, if I'm meant to have this role, then it'll come to me. And if I'm not, that's another thing too. Like, if something doesn't work out like you wanted it to, I like to switch it, and that just means there's something better out there for you. There's
exactly.
Yeah,
You need
it's
that
so
perspective
cliche.
for sure.
You do, like, it's so cliche, and like, some people will get it, some people won't, but it's the truth. It is the truth, because every single time something hasn't worked out in my favor, something better has come along after, and it's just what life has shown me.
Exactly. Yeah. So I want to get into fitness and the gym because that's a big part of your life.
Huge.
So how has the gym and getting into fitness shape you into the person you are today?
Well, for starters, I growing up, okay, we're gonna start talking about it in the sense of like maybe physical aspects first, because I can touch on that super quick. Growing up, I was always super tall. I was really broad. I'm a big girl, and it was tough for me when like everyone, as a female too, it was tough for me when everyone around me, like all the girls around me, they were like skinnier than me, and they were like, like they could wear clothes that like I couldn't wear, and like that was really hard for me, like growing up, and even still, like I still struggle with that. But now, because I've been like going to the gym and I've been really focused on like building muscle and like getting stronger and like like obviously, you know how we are. People who go to the gym, we're never going to be satisfied with the way that we look. But you know what? Like growing up, I had a really hard time looking in the mirror sometimes because I was like, oh, I never liked what I see. And like now, I look at myself and I have bad days, I have bad weeks, but I'm building this body. Like this is literally what I'm doing. Like my legs, huge, yeah, 100%. But it's like they're muscular and they're like it's like that's the more like physical aspect of it. It's like I look at myself and I'm like, I'm building this, like this is what I'm doing, like I'm putting in the work. But mentally, even more so the physical aspect, like mentally it's done a number for me. Like I mentioned earlier, if you can get yourself up every single day, whether it's in the morning, middle of the day, like in the evening, at night, whenever you really have the time for it, if you can get yourself up on a day-to-day basis and go to the gym, if it's for an hour, if it's for 45 minutes, even an hour, hour and a half, whatever, if you can be disciplined enough to get yourself into the gym, you can do anything. And the reason why I say that is because getting up and going to the gym and destroying your body for an hour to 2 hours is hard. Like it's a hard thing. It's not easy. Don't get me wrong, like, I'm sure we don't give 100% every single workout we do. At the beginning for sure. Like at the beginning I was like very like yeah. Like I've been training for years. Like I was an athlete growing up as well. I was off it for a little while. COVID kind of, took that away from a lot of us. And then I had recently started back up again beginning of last year and like never looked back. I was like, now I can't see my life without it. It makes me happier. I have made so many friends at the gym. I've developed so many incredible new relationships. It's just so enjoyable for me and I do like it. And again, it does kind of go hand in hand with the physical aspect of it where it's like I'm building my body, I'm building muscle, and I like that. Like that's what I'm interested in, I guess, because I mean, if you're not interested in the gym, if you're not interested in fitness, you're not going to like it, you're not going to enjoy it. But I also think that there's something out there for everybody. And obviously, we are only getting older. I know we're still so young, but living a sedentary lifestyle gets very sedentary. Like you need to move your body. It's really important for your future, for your growth, and for, when you're 50 years old, 60 years old, 70, that you're still, moving and able. Like that's also really important. But for the mental, it's been so good, especially when you have like a really stressful life. If you have like a stressful job, or if you have, stress in school or even in your personal life, like there's nothing better than knowing that like you have an outlet for that. And that's what it is for me. For me, it's an outlet. That's also why I like going in the evenings, because it gives me kind of something to look forward to all day. And even I at work, like when I was working in the branch, every single time I would have a bad day, I'd be like, you know what though? It's fine. Because you know what I get to do when I go home? Eat dinner, get ready, and go to the gym. Like, no matter how bad of a day I had, it did affect me sometimes, but it was always something to look forward to because ultimately it was something that I enjoyed doing. So the mindset switch, like, Anthony, when I tell you I would never go back to anything else, like I can't imagine my life without it. I'm going right after we finish here, and then I have another Thanksgiving dinner tonight. So like it's just I work it into my schedule. I have to go. Some of my friends will be like, nah, like you don't have to go. I was like, it's okay that you don't understand it, but it's just like I have to go. Like I have to. It's not a maybe. Like if I know that I have to take a rest day one day this week, like I'll just make up for it another day. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I gotta go. Like it's just how it is.
And I think it's so important because we have so many like responsibilities in our life, if it's school, work, family, relationships, whatever it might be. It's like I feel that you need some form of responsibility in your personal life, right? And that's exactly what the gym is
Yep.
like, for example, me as a person, it's like if I'm waking up at like, because I've done this, like when I did electrical, I had to wake up at 5 a.m. and go work at co-op and do electrical. Finding that out, I didn't really like that job, right? And it was hard for me to get up. It was extremely hard, right? So it's like I still manage to get up every single day and go do something I hate. Why wouldn't I get up and show up for myself to do something
Yeah.
I love that I know that's going to improve my life over time, right? So I think that's what's so important. And even going back to like what you were saying, like not everyone loves the gym. And I think a very big reason of why I'm able to go to the gym every single day is because I love it. But people, I guess, got to understand that like fitness is not just the gym. Like you could find a sport you really enjoy and play that every single day, or it could be running, or it could be, you know, anything. I feel like everyone needs that like physical outlet, you know, because we're meant to
100%.
move. We're meant to move in whichever way.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, too, like it's all about taking care of yourself as well and putting yourself first. And for us, like that's what the gym is. That's how we take care of ourselves and put ourselves first and prioritize ourselves. Because before I started going back so consistently, I was very much like, I can't say 100% that I was taking care of myself in the best ways that I could have been. So having the gym now, the reason why I even went back was because I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm so sick and tired of putting everyone else before me and before my health and before my well-being. Like, I'm going to be putting myself first. Like, this is how I put myself first. And if that means that I can't hang out on a weekday, so be it. Like, I'm going to the gym, sorry. Like, you know, it's about taking care of yourself. And again, like, it's an outlet for me. And as you said, like, we just enjoy it so much. That's why we're able to get there. Like I look forward to it. Even on days where I'm so tired and I'm like, maybe I should just stay home. I'm like, get up, go to the gym. Like, what do you mean stay home? Like, you know, it's become such a part of our routines. And it's like you just gotta go. Like it's like work. Like I treat it like a part-time job. I just go.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like you need to develop a mindset that allows you to show up every single day, right?
Yeah.
Even like for example, me, I think my biggest like motivation to not skip a day is how I feel afterwards if I skip a day. You know, there was a couple weeks prior to like these last 2 weeks where I was going very inconsistently for like the first time in my life. You know, there was a month period where I was going like 3 times a week. I wasn't waking up at 4:30 to go, and I felt shit about myself, right? And
Yeah.
that's what's I've kind of been bringing into mind is like, look how you felt a month ago when you were the most inconsistent that you've been since you started, right? So that's what's been getting me up to like go every single day.
Yeah.
And now I've gone like 12 days in a row going, and
Yeah.
I've brought into my mind like I rather be going too much than going too little, because I
Yeah.
know how my mind feels when I'm going too much, and I know how like my mind feels when I'm not going enough.
Yeah, even when I don't, like, because going so often, like going every single day, obviously, like we're killing our bodies. Like I took the last two, sorry, I went yesterday, but before I took Friday and Saturday off. I'm forgetting that today's Monday. I took Friday and Saturday off. Yesterday, I'm so sore today because like the 2 days off, like, you know, my body got to rest a little bit, whatever, but like that feeling, having that feeling like is so nice because yes, like I'm back in, whatever. And it's just like even when I don't go to the gym, when I do force myself to take rest days, I'm outside walking. Like I'm really nervous for when it gets cold and when it starts snowing because I'm not gonna be able to walk anymore. But even something as silly as that, like just moving your body, it's like I could talk about it for days, like how good it just makes you feel. And again, like you said, even if it's not the gym, even if it's a sport that you enjoy, or just going out for walks or runs, like whatever it is, because the gym isn't for everybody. Um, but there's so many things that you can do to move your body, and it changes your life, like changes your life.
100%. All right, my next question is, Natalia, what do you bring to mind on your worst days when you feel like being lazy and not chasing after your goals? And I'm speaking about, you know, there's probably mornings you wake up, you don't feel like going to work, you know, you're exhausted, you don't want to go to the gym. Maybe there's times where your friends asked you to hang out and you're like, you know, I just want to stay home, and you already had promised them you were going to go. Like, what do you bring to mind on those days when everything seems to not be going right in your mind?
Yeah, that happens quite often only because like sometimes I'm just like so tired, like my body's so tired. But even the example that you used, the last one, like when you know you made plans to go out and then the times come to go out and you're like, oh, like, I'd rather just stay home. I kind of just remind myself that, you know, if it's somebody that like obviously I want to spend time with and I want to hang out with and I want to see, like, you know, I have to kind of if if there was a situation where like I really wasn't feeling well, like I would cancel, and I've done that before. Like obviously not too last minute, but there have been situations where like I really can't get my mind out of like whatever headspace I'm in, and it's like I would just be doing like my friends a disservice if I did hang out with them, because I'm not in my best. I'm not like in my best mood, and I don't want to have to put up a front. Um, I don't want to have
Yeah.
to fake it. Um, but it's kind of just like realizing that, first of all, like you're so lucky to have friends to have plans with. Like that's looking at it that way. And I saw something on TikTok last week where it was like pictures of Winnie the Pooh, and it was like with words over like, oh, like how lucky am I to like have a busy schedule, or like how lucky am I to like have so many plans, or like have so many things to do, like how lucky am I to be like anxious about new things. It's like switching to that sort of mindset and being like, you're actually so lucky to have friends to hang out with, and you're lucky to have a busy schedule, and you're lucky to have a job. That was one really big thing for me this year, because I struggled. I really had a hard time. I got to the point where working in customer service was really difficult, and although right now I'm so grateful to be out of it, like it did definitely shape me into the person I am today, like 100%. Like it helped me develop all those social skills, all that, everything. Like I am a firm believer that everyone should work at least one customer service job in their life. But you know what? It got to a point where I felt really drained. Like it was just getting to be a lot for me. I was like, I'm talking to people every single day. Like I'm tired. Like at the end of the day, I have like little to no energy for myself. But then what kept me going was just realizing, like, Natalia, you're just lucky to have a job. Like, think about the people out there who don't have a job right now, who are struggling, and who, are trying to get a job and they can, and like all these things. And just switching it to being like, well, I'm lucky to have a job, and, I'm lucky to have a gym membership, and I'm lucky to have a gym that, feels like home for me. And switching it like that, I have started to do, especially this year. But again, like I mentioned earlier too, when I do have really bad days, just to give myself some grace, and just to like feel like it's okay to have bad days, and it's okay to, not want to do everything all the time, because you are human, you're going to get tired, your body will hurt. Like you also can't push too much, because I've done that before where I've literally pushed myself to burnout, and then I'm like, it's like months on end that I'm trying to recover. And because burnout's no joke, like you can really push yourself to burnout really easily. And although I haven't felt that way in like a couple of years, like it's happened to me before, and it's not a fun feeling trying to get back up on your feet after burning yourself out. So one day at a time, really, you have to take it. But like just switching it to kind of like, I'm just so lucky to have all these things, and to, be able to do all these things. That's the best way to kind of help yourself push forward, I would say.
Yeah, I feel that perspective is everything, right? Like, instead of saying like I have to wake up early, I get to wake up early. Like
Yeah.
all those kind of things just help you
Yeah.
on like the small things, right? And that adds
Yeah.
up, because if
Yeah.
you complain about everything and you're negative about everything, you're gonna have a bad life. But like
Yeah.
there's plenty of people in the world that are struggling that we can't even comprehend the struggle they're going through, and
Yeah.
they're still able to smile, they're still able to get up every single day and try to chase something more than they have, right? So
Exactly. Yeah. Perspective is really everything. Like, and don't get me wrong, like there's days where I'm like, oh my God, like I don't want to do anything. But I have more good days than bad now, especially because I've just worked so hard on switching that perspective, and just switching that mindset to being like, I get to do these things. I don't have to do these things. It's not that I have to do them, it's I get to do them. And I'm able-bodied, and I get to go to the gym, and I get to move my body. I get to throw around heavy weights, and I get to have fun and like laugh with my friends at the gym. Like I get to go to work. Like I get to drive my car to work. Like it's those that sort of mindset and that sort of perspective, it's easier said than done. And I know some people 100% have it harder than others, and it might be easier for someone like me to say that than someone who has like to do all these other things. Like I do definitely, like, I know that it's easier said than done for some people, but I mean, baby steps. like one day at a time is what I like to tell everybody too. Like anytime my friends, are talking to me about something and maybe they're like having a problem with something, I'm like, just one day at a time. Like take it easy on yourself, take it as it comes. Like that's kind of how you have to do it.
100%. All right, my next question is there any area of your life right now that you're struggling with but are trying to improve? Like if it's personal, if it's, I guess not work because you've gotten the,
It
or maybe it
was.
is, maybe it's adjusting. Yeah.
It was work for sure. Because like my personal life, I literally said to one of my friends, like last week, I was like, I have not been like this satisfied with where I am in life in a really long time. Like, not that I haven't been satisfied, for the last like couple of years, but I have never felt so good like I do right now. Like right now, I feel awesome. Like genuinely, like I feel so good. Like everything I think is exactly where it's supposed to be. But I guess, um, if I were to have to pick something, like it was work, it's like for the last like few months for sure, because I was actively trying to, get out of the branch and like move on and like move up, find that full-time job. And I guess now that I've got it, I just have to, it's just the adjustment really, but like I'm just so happy to be there. Like I'm just like, I'm still in that, it's like the honeymoon phase of a new job. But honestly, like I think it'll be fine. Like I just have to take it one day at a time, like try not to stress myself over it, because I definitely, even this weekend, I was like, I caught myself getting a little bit anxious and I was like, Natalia, what's wrong with you? Like, you just had an awesome first week. Like, everything's going to be fine. Like, you're going to learn everything as it comes. Like, just chill out. And it's that internal monologue for me that I kind of have to keep reminding myself that like everything's going to be just fine. Like, stop stressing yourself out. But yeah, like maybe work, but like otherwise, like I have no complaints. Honestly, I have
That's
no
good, man.
complaints.
That's good.
Yeah.
100%. Because like then it's like this is what the way I look at it is like struggle is one of those things where like if you don't go through any form of struggle, there will be no satisfaction once you overcome that
Yeah.
struggle. So I guess you're in that phase of your life where it was kind of difficult for a while, but now you're
Yeah,
kind of everything's falling into place.
exactly. And like I kind of just want to really enjoy what I'm in right now. Like I'm not at all like I'm saying I'm in like a comfortable part of my life. Like this is like I've just secured a full-time job. Like I'm still going to the gym. I'm still actively working on all my relationships and my friendships, my like home life, my relationship with my family. And like I'm still actively always trying to do that and always trying to be better. But I'm not gonna lie, like where I am right now, like I'm very happy to be, and I think I will be happy to be for a little while, because especially for us that go to the gym too, like we're always like working on ourselves and we're always striving to be better, and it's like a never ending like kind of thing, like sure you might set like a
Yeah.
short-term goal when it comes to the gym, but you're always working. So I guess that just feels like I'm always working on myself. I'm always getting better. So yeah, like I'm very honestly very satisfied with where I'm at right now, and I hope that it can stay like this for a little while.
For sure. Yeah, just appreciating the process and
Yeah,
like the journey, I
exactly.
guess.
Yeah, I mean, like I worked so hard and now I'm here and I want to enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I understand that sometimes we could think about the future and maybe you're already thinking about like where Natalia is going to be 6 months from now, but you got to like kind of rest in this moment and
Yeah.
appreciate like how far you've come.
Exactly, because that's my problem too, and it's been my problem for a really long time, where it's like I'm always looking for the next thing. Like I'm always like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? And like, don't get me wrong, it's a great thing to think that way, but then I feel like um I forget to like live in the moment sometimes, and I forget to just appreciate the present moment and like live in the present. And that on top of everything else that I've been working on for my own personal development this year, like that's been a huge thing for me. It's like just being in the here and the now and just being okay, because like I during the summer I went through a period of time where I was super anxious all the time. Like I was dealing with a lot of anxiety, like I wasn't feeling my greatest. And something that one of my close friends, she said to me, she's like, you just gotta be like present as possible. And then I remember seeing another video too where it's like telling you to like be where your feet are. And like that's been something that I try to remind myself of every single day. It's like it's easy to get caught up in like future goals and what you want to do and whatever, but it's okay to also be happy with where you are and to also like, take it all in and be like, I'm pretty good right now. Like I'm happy.
Exactly. I
Mm.
guess this is a good segue to my second last question of the pod, and it's what would the younger Natalia think of the person you are today?
I think she would be super proud for sure. She'd probably be like, "Why the heck are you not in law school right now?" But she would understand why I did things the way that I did them for sure. But I still, it's funny when you say like younger Natalia because I still feel her inside of me. Like I just I feel like every single time I do something and I like hit a goal that I've been working on for a long time, or like I feel like I just like heal that inner child inside of me, or like I like feel her inside of me. It's funny to talk about my younger self in the third person, but yeah, I think she would be very, very, very proud of where I am right now. And I think she would be even more proud of me for how I've like switched my perspective on life and my mindset switch and everything. Because when I was younger, I wasn't always a happy girl, like this outgoing and, fun, exciting person that I normally 90% of the time am. Like, I wasn't always like that when I was younger. Like, I was quite an angry young girl, and I've worked on that as I've gotten older. So I think she would be really proud, especially that I found like outlets for myself to deal with those feelings and stuff. But yeah.
For sure, very well said. I guess it's up to the last question, and I ask every single guest this question: is how do you want to be remembered?
Whoa. That's a question. Like, remembered, what do you mean?
I guess like for yourself, like do you see yourself as having like a legacy, or do you see yourself as like wanting to leave something behind when it comes to your family, your friends, maybe the field you're in for work? Like, have you ever thought about that really?
Honestly, I mentioned this a few times when we were speaking today, but I'm a huge like inner feelings person. So I very much like feel things inside of me that like when it comes to certain things, I'm like, this is what I meant to do, like this is where I meant to be. I have always, as much as I've prioritized, putting myself first in the last 2 years and like making sure I'm taking care of myself, I've always felt, especially when, my friends come to me and they like t- they have me talk them through things, or they come to me for advice, or I've always felt like I'm the type of person that like I'm here for other people, like I'm here to make other people's lives better, like that. I've always had that feeling inside of me, whether it's with like just my personality itself, for just always trying my best to make sure like everyone feels like included, and just like being there for other people, like being able to be a person that that you can come to me and like you can talk to me and I'll listen to you and I'll help you through whatever you're dealing with, and like knowing that I'm always in your corner until I'm not, unless you do something where I'm not in your corner. But like being the type of person where it's like they think of me and they're like, yeah, like I know I can always go to her for anything. Like I know that she's always in my corner. I would say that's how I would want to be remembered. A person that people can rely on and that people can trust on. No, I trust no matter what.
Fantastic, well said.
Mm.
So is there anything you want to leave the audience with before I close this out, or
I
not
have
really?
talked so much. I'm like, oh my
It's okay.
god. I'm like, I talked your ear off. I'm so sorry. And like, it's the way that I didn't even know what you were gonna ask me to, and clearly I had so much to say.
But that's the whole point of the
I
podcast. Like
know, I know.
my whole goal with it, and if people have watched the previous episodes, like I just come up with like very thought-provoking questions,
No,
and
they're
I'm
incredible.
just here to like listen and guide the conversation a certain way, right? I do
Yeah,
episodes where I'm by myself and
yeah,
I'm the only one talking
yeah,
for like 30 minutes straight.
yeah.
So no, that's
No,
exactly
it's amazing.
how it's got to be.
No,
And thank you, Natalia, for
of
being on.
course. Thank you for having me. I'm so honored. I told you already, but when you texted me, I was like, I got so giddy. I was like, yay! Yeah, I was really excited because I had my little podcast in university and stuff, whatever, and like I miss it so much. So it was nice, and it was nice too to be the one being interviewed because I would always like host and I would
Yeah,
always be the one asking other people questions. So it was nice. It was nice to be the one to get to yap a little bit. But yeah.
for sure. All right, I'm gonna close it out here. To
Okay.
anyone listening, remember to like, comment, subscribe, follow on Spotify, and remember, we gain insight in order to move forward in life. Take care, everybody.